When he turned his back from shoulder to shoulder, it looked like as wide as the tailgate of a truck.
And just darkness, literal darkness, just came like all over, just all over me except where I was standing.
This thing let out the most blood-curdling, mind-blowing, spine-tingling scream that you've ever heard in your life, and it cut through me like a knife.
And I knew that they were going to take me. I just knew it. And then the next thing I can remember is being levitated.
Well, when I look in there, I see two big eyes staring back at me.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Bump Podcast, a place for the believers of the unexplained, monsters, and paranormal. Join us, and we'll go face to face with what goes bump in the night. Hey there, believers. Got a good episode for you today. I don't know why the computer decided to tell me that there's a recording in progress. I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but that was kind of weird. Good episode today. I'm bringing Jennifer on the show. She emailed me on thebumppodcast.com. That's always a good way to get a hold of me. I'm checking those emails probably 6 or 7 times a day. So she reached out to me. She sent a very detailed email about everything that she's been experiencing, and she even sent me did I say that right? Experiencing, yes. She also sent me a couple of pictures that at a wedding reception that looked almost like there's a face in this green orb-like light over top of the bridesmaids. Kind of creepy. Hopefully I'll get her on here to explain everything, and we'll just go through everything that she's been talking about in these emails. Some of it's pretty wild stuff. So I hope you get into it. Thank you very much for listening today. And remember, you can always get a hold of me at thebumppodcast.com.
Okay. Hello?
Hey Jen, how you doing?
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Is it okay if I call you Jen? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Jen's fine. Jenny, whatever
Okay.
you're comfortable with.
All right. I just shorten everybody's name. I don't mean to. It's just
That sounds good to me, and I like Bo. Bo's good. Yeah.
I can't make
okay.
it much shorter than Bo. I don't know.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, Jen's fine. So yeah, I'm sitting here in my backyard in Chester County, Pennsylvania. Our weather here is really nice. I don't know about you, but it's been great.
Yeah, it rained a little bit this morning, but we have beautiful weather for the next week, so I'm all about that.
Good.
It does look beautiful there. I love that backdrop.
Yeah, this is my backyard, and some of the stuff I'm going to talk about today has kind of happened back here. So I'm going to kind of pan you guys over and be able to show you some of the areas things have happened.
Sweet.
Yeah, so all my life I've kind of questioned this world. I wasn't really happy with the answers I was getting, so naturally kind of started getting into like looking into the supernatural, and also I just had a lot of strange things happen to me growing up. Kept things very interesting. So thank you for having me on to talk about it and kind of vent. This is my first time ever talking about it, so it's kind of a big deal to me. I am really nervous, but hopefully I can help someone else get some closure or some confirmation, because it's good to feel not alone when things like this happen to you.
Absolutely.
So I guess I'm going to start at the beginning. So I was adopted, and so kind of knew that my whole life. I always wanted to meet my birth mother, and unfortunately she passed away before I could. That was a whole strange experience in itself, finding out how she died. I actually looked her up, and I missed her by 4 weeks. Wow. So that was kind of strange, but through Facebook, I'm not on there anymore, but I was able to find my birth family, reached out, and they finally agreed to meet with me. Now I do have some things I've gone through that make me think I may be. One of the first things I'm going to talk about is I'm not very exciting. I have like 2 incidents that make me think I may be like an abductee experiencer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the first one happened when I was 5 or 6. So and as I said, I started looking into things in my early 20s. This was almost 10 years ago. And, you know, you start to hear that with abductees, a lot of it is family related. They seem to be interested in certain families for some reason. It seems to be generational, at least from some of the stories I've heard. So that was something, listening to the stories, I always wondered about. I wonder if my birth mother went through any of these things, you know, but how am I ever going to find that out? And if they ever do agree to meet with me, it's kind of a hard thing to bring up. It's like, thanks for meeting with me. So what do you think about aliens? What do you think about that? So anyway, I finally met with them, and my aunt would talk about, she told me, just trying to explain to me that sometimes my birth mom would bring up some kind of interesting things that were kind of crazy, but they were close, so she would talk to her. And among one of the things she would say, I mean, she said that a lot of the things she said sounded crazy to her, but they actually made a lot of sense. But one of the things that she talked about was, I didn't even have to ask. She just came out with it, and I couldn't believe it. She was like, yeah, she told me once that she would get taken on spaceships and they would do things to her.
Wow.
And so I was like, wow. I didn't say anything at the time. I just kind of took it in. I didn't tell her about the experience I'm going to share with you guys. The second one happened later, but yeah, so that was pretty interesting for me because I got my confirmation. It would seem like kind of a synchronicity, which happens a lot in my life. I have like synchronicities. Questions just seem to get answered out of nowhere. So I'm really blessed and grateful for that. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I have a lot of things that I need, and a lot of times things I want. You just think of the heart and the mind, and like you throw it out with good intention, and God or the Great Spirit or whatever you want to call it seems to, you know, answer back. So so anyway, should I tell you about my experience? Do you have any questions?
Well, yeah, I don't have any questions yet.
Okay. Okay.
You said you kind of just took it in when your grandmother told you those things, right?
Yeah. My mom's sister, my mom's youngest sister.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
She, did I say grandma? I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, it was, I met with my aunt, and she was telling me how she would open up to her and say these crazy things. And that's another thing. Like my aunt even said to me, she's like, you know, we kind of thought she was the crazy one, but she said at times, you know, she made a lot of sense. And I feel like sometimes I felt like I was the crazy one, and maybe she was the sane one, because the things she was saying just didn't quite fit into society.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think, I mean, mental illness is a real thing, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of times the people that were sent here to be our shamans and our medicine people kind of fall through the cracks, because in our society, like, we don't really have an outlet for the spirit. There's like the human being, and I really think there's like two parts to that. It's like the bone, flesh, and blood, and then the being, the spirit.
Right.
And then when we get done being human, we go back to being. But we don't, everything's kind of very physical in our society. It's all about, like, you know, food, sex, alcohol, whatever, and not a whole lot of room for spirit. And so I think sometimes these people fall through the cracks and wind up getting called crazy, or they wind up on the streets or getting put away. And really, I think they're just kind of meant to be our spiritual guides at times, but
Right.
not everybody. I know that, but
Right. Yeah,
sometimes the things, yeah.
I think you're 100% right. Yeah, I really do. I think that a lot of times what we diagnose is maybe a schizophrenia or whatever is,
Mhm.
you know, how can we say who they're talking to or who they hear?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Maybe
yeah,
they're just tapping into something else.
yeah, we're missing on some miracle workers probably.
Yeah, probably. So I'm going to tell you about my first experience, first of two. I'm not very exciting. Sorry, I only have two type experiences, not like some of your people that you have on.
That's pretty damn exciting, I'll be honest with you.
Okay. Well, you go. I already kind of told you. Okay, so when I was about 5 or 6, I had this memory, and it's just kind of, I guess, happening right in the middle of it. And like I said, the human and the spirit, two different things. So I guess it was like my spirit witnessing this, but I witnessed my body being levitated. I was sleeping, still in my PJs, but I saw my body being levitated and slowly taken out of my closed bedroom window, feet first. And at the time, I wasn't scared. Like, looking back in it, I don't feel fear. The thing I was concerned about is the way my body was going to come back, because I knew glass could cut. And I was really concerned at the condition my body was going to come back in, having gone through glass, because I knew that wasn't going to, that shouldn't be happening. Right. And I knew that, you know, glass can cut at that time. So yeah, that was like the first kind of experience I had, and the one that kind of got me thinking, or the one I remember anyway, that got me thinking, I wonder if there's more to this. And then I got validation from my aunt that my mom had, who I never met, and I couldn't possibly know that she had had those experiences too.
Right.
So that was kind of confirmation for me that, okay, it wasn't just dreaming. And I didn't think I was anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that was it. I mean, just a
well,
little snippet of a memory.
yeah. Well, you were taking out that window.
Hmm.
Was the window open or was it closed and you kind of phased through the window?
I don't know. I just remember like face through it, I guess.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
very common thing.
Is it?
Yes. Inside the abduction, you know,
Oh my God.
that they'll say
Okay.
they're taking straight through walls or straight through windows. I was
Okay.
right before we talked, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about, you know, the signs of abduction experiences, you know,
Oh my
abductees, they have
gosh.
these general things in common. And that was
Oh my
one of them.
goodness.
That
Well, yeah. Well, reality is malleable from what we've been told, right? So
right.
that's interesting. Yeah, but I don't have any memory of anything being done to me like on the ship or anything like that.
Wow.
But yeah. So and then my second experience was probably around 2014, a little bit later. And I've had sleep paralysis numerous times in my life. And this is one instance where I had sleep paralysis. And it was the only time I ever saw something. I know some people see things. I've never seen anything until this story. So around 2014, I was back living with my parents. And I woke up with sleep paralysis and I saw a tall gray in my room to the left of my room. Couldn't move, people that know sleep paralysis,
Right.
and I saw the back of this gray alien. It was about 5 feet tall. And I had a shelf with pictures on it. And it was looking up at the pictures with its back to me. And I tried to scream. And I remember all in my mind, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, it's a demon. Like I was absolutely terrified. And was thinking demon. Of course, when I tried to scream, barely anything comes out. But I must have made enough noise that I startled this thing. And it kept its back to me, but its arms kind of went up like this. And it turned its head and so I saw its peripherals, just looked at me like, oh shit, like she's not supposed to be awake,
Right.
And then that was that. It stared at me for like a second. And then next thing I know, I was waking up and everything was normal. I was waking up in my bed. The sun was shining in the room. Like everything was fine. And I just kind of thought, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the first time you've ever had a visual with sleep paralysis?
A visual sleep paralysis. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you notice any kind of lights or anything?
Lights in the room or anything?
Yeah, like was there a light in your eyes or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No, I just woke up and I saw it standing kind of in the corner of my room with its back to me, looking up at pictures.
That's so creepy.
And then when I tried to scream, it's like I startled it and it turned and it's like kind of went up like its arms went up like this and it turned and was like looked at me.
Wow.
For like a few seconds. And then next thing I was waking up, the sun was coming in my room and yeah, that was that. I don't know.
You say I only have these two things, and they are absolutely horrifying things.
I don't know.
So
I mean, yeah.
what did this gray look like? You said it was tall, or
it was about 5 feet tall. I know a lot of people have said they're like 3 feet tall. They're tiny, like midget looking. This one was taller. It was like because I had a tall bureau there.
Right.
It was like a tall bureau and 2 shelves. It was looking up at the shelves. They were a little bit, I would say it was about 5 feet tall. Thinking back.
Yeah.
This was like 2014.
And can you remember any details of the face of it or anything like that?
I remember it had really big black eyes, slit from a mouth, and its skin was like almost like a paper mache looking, like almost kind of translucent. And I just remember it didn't really do anything to make me think it was evil. It just was standing there, but I just felt like it was like I just kept thinking demon when I was looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. That's probably where my mind would go too.
Yeah. What is this thing in my room? Sorry, I'm gonna get some water. But yeah, that's all I remember of that. There's 2 little snippets. So I don't have a whole lot of crazy. I don't have like my mom talked about having things done to her on a spaceship. I don't have any memory of that.
Right.
But I do remember when I was younger. No, I don't know if this even relates, but I remember laying in bed. I would lay in bed. I had a lot of trouble sleeping alone, and I would just seemingly for no reason be absolutely terrified. I'm talking like I'm under the covers, I'm breaking out in a cold sweat, I'm shaking to the point where sometimes my teeth would be chattering. And I eventually would just fall asleep, I guess, from exhaustion. But I don't know if maybe sometimes my body knew something was coming and I just don't remember other things that happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
It's almost
yeah.
like a panic attack or something, or an
I
anxiety.
guess so. Yeah, maybe. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I did have anxiety issues when I was younger in school. But so yeah, and then well, the other thing actually when we were here, as far as like possible UFO activity goes, my husband and I were over by the fire pit. I don't know if you can see it over here. It's kind of we were over by the fire pit one night, and we both saw what looked like a star, but it was moving very slowly and steadily across the sky. And I don't know if satellites do that, but we both kind of agreed that it wasn't a star. It was like possibly a UFO. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I haven't had any experiences with really UFOs or seeing anything like that.
No.
Other than the ball of light that I saw.
Yeah, that orange light.
I don't know if you would call that a UFO. Some people connect it to Bigfoot, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not lucky like you. You've had a lot of activity. You've heard things, and
I've had a lot of weird stuff happen, you know.
maybe. Yeah, but let me think. Sorry, I have notes over here because I wrote a lot of stuff down to remember. So yeah, as far as I was telling you, I think there could potentially be Sasquatch on the property.
Yes.
I don't know if they're here presently. I have no reason to think they are right now. Nothing recent has happened. But when we first moved in, some weird things happened, or who knows what it could be. I don't know. I know. So let me see what the first thing. So first thing that happened shortly after we moved in, and again, we're in Chester County, Pennsylvania. We moved in 2017 in July. So we had come out of an apartment, really loving living in a house, and we have just nature all around. We only really have one neighbor. We are in a residential neighborhood. There's a park across the street, and there's actually an empty lot to the side of the house over here with a creek that actually runs back through the woods back here.
Mm.
And this one night, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. It was the weekend, and I was looking out the back window over here, and we were getting ready to go to bed. I walked around the couch, and I just glanced out the window, and I saw, I don't know if you can see that bench, where that bench is.
Yep.
You see that? The bench?
Yep.
Okay, so right behind the bench in that area, there used to be a playground. It's gone now. But when I was looking out the window, and I saw a very small orange light. It reminded me of like the tip of a cigarette. And I was just kind of moving around back there. And I remember thinking, we were so new, we hadn't met the neighbors yet or anything. So I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of weird. Is that a neighbor smoking in my backyard, walking around back there at 1 o'clock in the morning? I don't know them, maybe. And then I'm thinking, maybe is it kids partying? But I wasn't hearing anything. And it kind of creeped me out. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to make it a thing unless something goes on, like hear something, I hear music, or it becomes an issue. But it was kind of creepy because if I'm looking at them out the window, that means I'm seeing the end of this, what I think is a cigarette. They're looking back at me. So I'm like, okay, turn off the lights and kind of lay in bed and listen for a while. But nothing really came, but nothing happened. So, and now we know the neighbors. They don't smoke. The park across the street, I now know the police come there often to do their reports. There's a parking lot there. So if there were kids partying back there, I mean, they'd be able, it's open over there. They'd be able to see across the street. They would be stupid to be partying back there. So I think I saw something weird.
It sounds like you did see something weird.
I think so.
How was the light behaving? Was it just staying in one spot? Or
it was moving. It was moving around. So I thought it was somebody with a cigarette, like maybe talking or like doing something. It was kind of moving around. And I watched it for a few seconds, and then I was like, all right, I don't know what's going on. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to start anything, So, I really thought maybe it was just our neighbor walking around, because the fence is not closed. It's just a one side of the fence. So they can easily walk around if they wanted to. And sometimes they do, their dog gets loose.
Yeah.
But they don't smoke. So.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
kind of weird. That's kind of weird. Yeah. And you're right. Yeah. You must listen to a lot of shows. They do associate, the lights with Bigfoot now.
Yeah, I
am
am.
more and more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so isn't that interesting? And just yeah, I learned about you through Sasquatch Chronicles. So
Oh, sweet.
I
Thank you.
think I heard you on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ones I listen to. That's how I know. But so I found that interesting. And then shortly after that, let me see if I can see if this works. I hope I don't mess anything up because I'm not a tech person.
It's okay.
So I don't know if you can see these trees. I hope I'm getting them right. Those trees right about there.
Yeah.
You see them?
Mhm.
And there's the side of the house. I don't know if you could see it.
Yes.
So, and there's the deck. So sitting on the deck, can you see the deck? Did
Yeah.
you get a good idea of the
Yeah, I
yard?
got
Okay.
it.
So I was sitting on the deck, not long after this, maybe a couple months. It was a warm season, so I was sitting out reading, facing this way, and something caught movement at the top of my eye, like caught my eye, and it was actually, it looked about what it is right now. The sun was kind of setting, starting to set, and I looked up, and my heart dropped because in your brain in the moment sometimes is not rational. So to me, what I saw was a ball of fire, a little bit bigger than a softball, but smaller than a basketball, moving through the treetops there. Moving through the treetops, I watched it for about 4 seconds, just moved at like a medium steady pace through those trees and then disappeared back over there somewhere. Like in those trees over there is when I lost it. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, the trees are going to catch on fire. There's a ball of fire moving through the sky, which is not rational, but that's what I was seeing in the moment.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of sat there afterwards and was like, okay, the trees aren't on fire. That's not rational. Fireballs moving through the sky. What did I just see?
Well, was that
And it looked like,
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What did it look like? Was it the same color as that
Yeah.
smaller orange light?
yes. So if I thought it was a ball of fire, that's what it looked like. It looked like, when embers are really, really hot,
Yeah.
really bright orange.
Mhm.
That's what it looked like. And it was a little bit bigger than a softball, not a baseball, like a women's softball, and smaller than a basketball. It was just moving through the treetops. Didn't seem to be slowed down or hindered by the leaves of the branches. It was just doing its thing, moving, and then just disappeared into the trees. And so that was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen anything like that since. But we have had, what else do we have? So my husband did hear something hit the side of the house. So we have kind of an in-law suite on the first floor, and he has a bed back. So we got a new mattress down there. He was testing it out. And he said he was laying down there. He wasn't sleeping. He was just kind of laying there. And he said he heard something hit the side of the house. And he said, I was sure it was the side. It really freaked me out. It made me not want to sleep down there anymore, like ever again. And he said it was pretty hard. Like it wouldn't make sense for it to be an animal because it was the side of the house. He said it was strange. And he went out the next day just to be sure, check the roof, make sure, maybe he didn't miss here and there was a big branch on the roof. So we do have a lot of trees, but he said, no, there's nothing on the roof. And he's like, yes, I feel like something hit the house. I don't know what it was or whatever. Now he kind of knows about Sasquatch. Like he's not as into it as me, like listening to podcasts and listening to stuff about the supernatural, but like he has weird things happen to him too. He gets sleep paralysis and he does see things, but those are his stories, still not mine.
You both get sleep paralysis?
But he sees things. I don't. Yeah.
Well, I know it's his story, but can you tell me what he sees?
So he has seen hooded figures. He scares the hell out of me sometimes because he gets them more often than me. And there have been times that he'll just kind of nonchalantly be like, there's someone in the room. And I'm like, what? Or he could turn on the light before this person has a chance to attack us. And then he's like, oh my God. Oh, he's like, oh, I had sleep paralysis. Oh my God. He's like, yeah, there was a woman with a hood over her head, like facing our doorway, just standing there. I'm like, oh my God. And he's had that happen more. He had a hooded figure standing at the end of the bed once. He saw, oh God, he's going to kill me. When we were in the apartment, he saw like a humanoid with the cat head standing in the hallway, and he just very casually, I guess he was in that state coming out of it. He like told me there was a cat person standing in the hallway with a cat head. Oh God, is he in the kitchen? He's hearing me. Oh.
It's okay.
So yeah, so I mean, he had episodes in our apartment in Broomall, and then he's had a few incidents here at the house in Chester County.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've heard I've had weird things happen my whole life, which I'll get into, but nothing too huge though, just little things, weird things that seem to happen when I'm coming out of sleep.
Yep.
May have to do with my brain waves. I don't know. I'm just completely relaxed. I know a lot of psychics try not to get emotional if they're going to do a reading because they don't want any emotion involved. So maybe I'm just more open when I'm half awake, half asleep. But this one night in this house, shortly after we moved in, I heard growling at the window, and my cat was sleeping with me. My cat Sophie, she curls up next to me a lot at night, and that's the nice thing about pets. You can check yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, am I crazy? Is that my imagination? No, like my
Yeah.
pet's reacting too. So she did. We both kind of woke up at the same time, and she sat up and she's looking around. Her little ears are going crazy, you know. And she actually ran off the bed, ran out of the room, left me there by myself. And yeah, I mean, it was a pretty deep growl right outside the. It sounded like it was like right outside the window on the second floor. And believe it or not, I was too scared to look out the curtains. So I didn't. And I know it sounds crazy, but I just got up and used the bathroom and laid back down in bed, listened for a few minutes, and then I went back to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another very common reaction. People
Yeah.
are like, I didn't know what
It's
it
hard
was. So I rolled over, you know?
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? It's not like the movies where there's like horror music playing in the background and your adrenaline's pumping. It's like a few seconds and then everything's still normal and calm. Well, maybe not for some people, but
Yeah.
for me, at least for now, I should knock on wood. But I haven't had anything too crazy other than first two stories. But what else? Let me see. We already went through the orange lights. Oh, you triggered something for me in your last episode. So one night, by the same window, I heard a metal on metal sound.
Yes.
I thought it was our basement because we're on the country. We have all manner of stuff in the basement. I sleep right by the vent.
Yeah.
And I thought it was something coming from the basement, but I had no idea that could also be linked to. Well, you thought it was like a Sasquatch thing, maybe? Or
Yeah,
like,
it's like a mimicry, you know, it's like they'll
so
mimic.
they're like really good.
Oh yeah. Are you familiar with Ron Moorhead and all that? You know, the Sierra sounds, how he recorded
Yes.
all that chatter.
Yeah, where they sound like samurais and like.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
He
that's
also
crazy.
out there in the middle of nowhere in the Sierras, he would hear like car doors shutting.
Oh my gosh.
He would hear metallic sounds. He would see rods of light go by, just, you know,
Yeah.
waist level, just going by.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of stuff with him, like in documentaries and
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's
he's
a
great.
lot of reports, lots of reports of
Ever?
these different sounds that just don't fit in.
Yeah.
But they think
I
it's
would
just
think that was like a dumber, like a deep underground military base, not
right. Oh yeah, you're out there.
like a Sasquatch.
And
Yeah, so you actually triggered a memory in me the last show you did when you talked about that. And it was right by the same area, right kind of under my window.
Wow. Well, what was the sound? It was like metal on metal, but what was it?
It was like metal on metal. So again, it was like coming out of sleep. I don't know if it woke me up or what. It only lasted like a few seconds.
Yeah.
And it sounded like kind of metal on metal, like a machinery sound.
Yeah.
It was only a few seconds and then it stopped. I just assumed maybe it was because the vent's right next to me, the basement. We have a lot of stuff going on in the basement. But I was like, oh my God. And that was around the same time.
Wow.
Now, like I said, I haven't had anything happen recently around here, at least that I've noticed, but I am gone a lot. I work full time and whatever, but it's the warm season again, so we'll see.
And in your email, you said there's like what, 13 acres of land behind you?
Oh, yes. Yes. So back here, so this woods is 13 acres.
Mm-hmm.
It's preserved. And I'd love to know what you think about this, but they say it's preserved to preserve a endangered turtle.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? I don't think. I mean, that's a nice story, but I think there might be more going on with these woods than they're telling us.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I feel like they're special.
They probably are. And I don't want to like encourage you to do something to, you know, bite off more than you can chew, but
Go ahead.
Have you ever like went in the direction of those lights? Have you ever walked back in those woods and explored or anything?
Not You know what yesterday my husband did? We were out here doing fire pit and we heard these birds going nuts. It sounded like they were having some sort of fight. Maybe they had bets placed on it. That's how intense it was. What's going on back there? So we heard this really loud call, and my husband was afraid it might be like a hurt hawk or something. So he actually did walk back there actually last night, and he said once you get back there, he wanted to come back. So it got very quiet, and he said all he saw were like the leaves around him. But we were talking last night that we would like to kind of venture back in there.
Yeah.
And if I do, I'll bring my cell phone, because if it gets weird, I don't know if I'm sure you know David Pilates.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You don't want to go missing. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's got a great show out right now on YouTube. Well, he has for a while, Can-Am Missing.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a Can-Am Missing channel on YouTube that he's puts show like every week or so. And he said, if you ever feel weird in the woods, take your phone out, film all around you, and film the sky. So I'm going to take my phone with me and do that if I feel weird back there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not buying that turtle story. I don't know about you, but
yeah. If you have the battery life, I would say have your phone on and recording your entire experience. You know, if it's 20 minutes, it's not going to hurt. You know, if it's an hour, your phone might, it might suffer a little bit, but you never know what you don't catch that might be out there. You know,
you're right. And the phone might catch because our eyes are not always seeing everything.
Right. Yeah, we have this, and regardless, you might never see it, because I feel like there's things going on that are just out of our spectrum of vision completely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah,
that's exciting. We live in a magical world.
We really do. That's what I was telling my daughter. She's into Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. I was like, if you think that's cool, you should check out reality.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't think it's any coincidence that we're all stuck in 9-to-5s and we're so busy that we don't have time to really explore very much. Yeah. And then sometimes when people do, just for a weekend, they doing some pretty crazy things.
Yeah, that's all it takes is getting outside. That's why. Especially in Appalachia and stuff, our ancestors, it was just as real as we are sitting here talking. There were ghosts, and there were, bad omens and superstitions and all this stuff. And it was just part of life.
Yeah. And it's real. It's a reality. It really is.
We've unplugged from that. It didn't go away. It's still going on,
Oh yeah. I think we've kind of been unplugged on purpose.
Yeah, I do
but
too.
That's another talk.
You talked about lights, knocking, growls, this weird metallic sound.
Yeah. So another thing that just popped into my head. Sorry,
good.
I'm nervous, so I'm kind of blank trying to remember. So another thing I told you about that was I was right out of college. This was like almost 10 years ago now. Oh God. But I was dating someone at the time who was really into camping, and the only camping I had done was with Girl Scouts, like in cabins. Right. So he kind of got me out, taught me how to camp, like really pitching a tent. And he was an Eagle Scout, so he kind of taught me how to make fires, whatever. It was new to me, needless to say. And this was before I was really into like Bigfoot stuff. Really, I kind of believed in them, but I didn't know much about them. I didn't know about the light thing. I didn't know about them throwing things. I just thought they were like some, possibly animal that was out there or something. So this one weekend, I went camping with my ex in Vermont at a place called Emerald Lake. And it's a gorgeous spot if you haven't been there. It's really, really beautiful. It's this emerald colored lake. And then there are campsites kind of up the mountain. So in some areas you can kind of look down in it, but for the most part, there's trees around you. And so we were camping at this one spot at Emerald Lake. It's Dorset, Vermont, and pitched the tent. There were trees all around. And the way the campsite was set up is we had our campsite. In front of it was a dirt road leading to other campsites. And there were really lovely people across the way in an RV across from us. And I remember the first day we got there, this woman talked to me and she seemed kind of spooked. And she was saying how people were reporting a bear around. So we should be really careful because we were in a tent. So I thought that. And looking back now, knowing what I know, I'm like, interesting. And the guy had the gun like right by his door. Right. So now kind of thinking back, I'm wondering maybe there's a little more to this bear thing. Maybe it wasn't just a bear.
Yeah.
So we're camping, we pitch a tent, and the way the tent was set up is it was like kind of perfect for what happened really from their perspective. It was trees, and like I said, the campsites are kind of up the mountain. So really, if you look down, you're looking downhill. and it's just trees. So the first night we go to bed, and I'm getting super uncomfortable because we're laying there and there's stuff hitting the tent consistently, quickly, and hard. And so I kind of said to my ex, like, what is that? And I was spooked out. He's like, oh, it's just acorns hitting the tree hitting the tent from the tree above us, just acorns falling. And in them, like, I didn't know. He's the Eagle Scout. What do I know, right? So I'm kind of thinking, like,
Right.
okay, I kind of have to take his word for it. But in my gut, I'm like, that's not acorns. That just doesn't make any sense because they're hitting hard. I even said to him, I'm like, they're hitting really hard. Are you sure? And he's like, I thought there might be somebody messing with us.
Right.
But I mean, you'd have to be in the thick of the woods. I mean, we're right on the edge of the wood line, and it's a downhill, and anyone that's walked downhill in the woods, I've done it, it's really tough. You slide, it's not easy.
Right.
So I know that now, but back then I was just kind of a naive girl, and so it didn't feel right to me, but I took his word for it, and I eventually drifted off to sleep. But walking around the tent even during the day, I wasn't getting hit with acorns on my head. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't acorns, I don't think.
No, I don't think. And even if it was acorns, who knows how they were getting to your tent? Were you under an oak tree?
I didn't look. I don't know trees. Like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But they were hitting hard and consistently and quickly, rapidly.
Right.
And I mean, they had the perfect spot for it. I mean, they could have been. I mean, it was uphill. They could probably see us and easily hide. I don't know.
Yeah.
But now I remember that. Now that I know what I know about them throwing things at tents, thank God I didn't know at the time, because we would have been packing up and leaving, and I wouldn't have had a nice weekend. Yeah. But yeah, that weekend would have been over, and I probably never would have gone camping again.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so that happened. What else? Let me see. So some weird stuff happened at my parents' house growing up.
Okay,
some ghosty stuff.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
Happened.
I remember seeing that in your email. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for keeping me on track.
Oh, you're good.
This is the first time I've ever done this. You're being so great. Thank you.
Oh, this is awesome.
Thank you. Okay. So let me think. So one, like I said, when I was younger, I would get these feelings in bed, like I was being watched. Whenever be like, I think probably unnaturally scared at night. I don't know why. So I don't think I mentioned this in the email, but I remember it after just thinking. I like to dance a lot when I was little, to like the radio and stuff in my room. I'd like close the door and I'd put my little CD player on, or the stereo. And my mom, I only had my mom's CDs or whatever, so I was playing like Madonna, Paula Abdul, like dancing around to my little dance routines for my teddy bears. And I think a lot of little girls do that. So I would do that. I was having a great time. And then I remember on numerous occasions, it didn't happen every time, but all of a sudden I would just get it's like this dark presence came into the room. I would just feel like this presence come into the room, and I would feel like I was being watched, and it did not feel good. Like, it made me want to stop. And something inside me said, turn off the TV, turn off the lights, leave the room. And so I would. And that happened on numerous occasions growing up. I don't know what that was, but I mean, I know some people look into the music industry, some weird stuff goes on there. So I don't know if there's something attached to some of those songs that maybe, like to feed off the energy of children, but it definitely felt parasitic, to not feel good. And once I left the room, turned the music off, left the room, it would stop. So yeah, be wary of your kids, people. Be careful of the music they're listening to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We'll talk about that later too, if you want to.
Yeah. The spirit world is real.
Yes,
and there are
it is.
parasites. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so another ghost story from the house. So, another nice thing about pets, I grew up with a dog named Britta. She was a Brittany Spaniel, and she was like my sister. I was an only child. So, there would be times that I was sitting on the recliner, we'd be just hanging out watching TV, and she liked to lay on the floor facing me, just like sleep in. But there were numerous occasions, not every time, not a lot, but I would say like maybe once every 2 weeks, just to give you an idea of the timing. It wasn't a lot, it wasn't often, but every once in a while she would lift her head up from a dead sleep, lift her head up and look directly behind me when I was sitting on the recliner and just stare, like look up as if someone got her attention, woke her up from sleep, and she would just stare right above my head behind the recliner and freak me the hell out. Like I would turn around and keep looking, what are you looking at? Her attention couldn't be broken. She's just staring. I know it what. There was nothing behind me. There were times no one else was home. I wasn't hearing any other sounds. I don't know what that was, but that house is weird. Like, that house is weird.
No, is this house in Vermont?
Now, what?
Is that house in Vermont or is that down there?
No, this house. So I was raised in South Jersey.
Okay.
And kind of like not like the New York City area, kind of like more the Pine Barrens type area. Okay. Jersey's like it's 2 parts of Jersey. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I haven't been there, but I've heard of the Pine Barrens.
Yeah. So yeah, it was that area is where I was raised. And yeah, a lot of weird things happened in that house. Now, my parents built the house. They were the first ones to build on that land. It used to be a dump, and there was an old wagon trail that ran. There was a creek behind them. Weird synchronicity. I grew up with a creek behind me. Now there's a creek next to me and behind me. So yeah, they were the first ones to build. The neighborhood was brand new, old dump, wagon trail behind it, woods behind it. And apparently this is like something interesting too. They had that can be connected to something spiritual. They had the power lines, you know, the tall power lines. What are they called? Yeah, the power lines were behind their house too, through the woods.
They say that power lines can give off an EMF to make you feel like things are weird. But
really?
But I think that could be an excuse for weird things are drawn to high energy places. You know what I mean?
Yeah, electricity.
It's twofold, you know, like.
Oh my gosh, that messes with your head a little bit.
Yeah.
So do you think that's just to cover an excuse, or do you think?
Personally, yeah, I do.
I do too. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they think it can be linked to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I swear I think I experienced these things. So,
or were you directly under the power lines, or was it just near you?
No, they were behind. No, they were behind the house, like kind of in the distance. You could see them now. I mean, there were trees, and unfortunately, they cut down a lot of the trees over time. I guess they started to interfere with the power lines.
Yeah. Well, if they're in the distance, I was bummed about. If they're in the distance, if those lines are just in the distance, you know, I doubt that would have an effect on you. You know, you'd have to be like under them. You know.
Yeah, I'd say they're like half a mile away.
Oh yeah. No, it's just haunted. You know, it was just creepy. You know.
Okay. So then another thing that sticks out that I experienced, I was in about 3rd grade, and I was walking around the house doing chores. I remember it was warm outside, and I walked into our powder room, upstairs, or bathroom. Sorry, it's not powder, full bathroom. Doesn't matter. There was a door open to the right, and it was the office back then. So, you know, sometimes when you pass a room, you kind of glance in as you pass. I was bringing towels into the bathroom, doing my chores, glanced into the office, and I saw a full-bodied apparition of a young man who looked to be about in his early 30s, short brown hair. He had a black top hat on, one of those black long coats, and he was like leaning. He had his arm cut up like this, and he was leaning out the window, just staring out the window. I only saw his profile. I only saw him for like a second or two as I passed. Of course, I stopped. What the heck was that? Yeah. There's no one else in the house, much less someone wearing attire like that, you know?
Yeah.
Went back, and of course he's gone. So yeah, I don't know what that was about, but he was in our 2nd floor office, which, yeah. And my parents had built that house. So I know a lot of time it can be the land. I don't know if it was the wagon trail behind their house.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah.
About the right period.
So, yeah. So yeah, that's something that happened. Let me see. Yeah, and he was solid. He was just as solid as you sitting. I mean,
wow.
If he was in clothing of the day, I would have probably ran out screaming, thinking someone was like broken. That's how solid he was. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's that. So let me see. And then there was one night when I was older at that house. I was actually house sitting, And their cat Pfeiffer just woke up in the middle of the night, ran out of the room, ran to the top of the steps, and he was just growling down the steps, staring at something, growling. And I couldn't get his attention. I couldn't get him to move. It really freaked me out. But the alarm was on and everything. I knew the doors were locked and I wasn't hearing anything. I stood at the foot of the steps for a while listening to see if maybe there's an intruder, but again, the alarm was on.
Right.
The doors were locked. And so I just went back to bed and laid there a while. I watched the other cats. They weren't reacting to anything. And eventually I just drifted back to sleep because nothing was going on.
Yeah.
But that's another strange thing that happened. Now in that house, like I said, I was an only child. My parents were great. They bought me whatever I wanted. And I did play with the Ouija board when I was younger, like in elementary school at a sleepover in the basement. I did.
Okay.
I didn't tell you that in the email, but I did. And yeah, I remember saying something for protection, but I know there's I would never touch one now. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't think my mom did either. They sell them in the toy stores.
I know it.
Or they used to anyway when I was a kid.
And it's on purpose,
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh yeah.
What better conduit than to have a kid and to say it's a board game and you can just leave that portal wide open, for you to see the shadow figures in the corners of your eye.
Yeah, and now I wonder, I feel really bad about that looking back because they've since sold that house. There's a new family living there. But I did take that Ouija board and I threw it out, which now I know I should have probably covered it in salt and buried it. But
yeah,
you
got rid of it.
What?
It's all right. You got rid of it. It's as long as
I hope so.
Just don't.
I don't know if I
anymore.
sealed it. So yeah, but let me think. So that might have been part of why things happened at that house. I don't know, or it could have been the land. Let me see.
Well, all that stuff was probably there, and the Ouija board just didn't help matters. I'm sure it,
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it wasn't my fault.
But it can't be just your fault.
Yeah. So another thing that happened, like I said, I've just had little things that happen, mainly when I've been half awake, half asleep. But one night I was again kind of coming out of sleep and I heard this woman that sounded to be in her late 30s quickly whisper my cat Sophie's name. Like I said, Sophie sleeps next to me. And I heard Sophie. That's what it sounded like almost like she was leaning down and I just heard Sophie. And I opened my eyes, looked down at my cat. She was fast asleep. She wasn't responding this time, but I swear I heard that. And obviously I looked around and didn't see anything, whatever. Yeah. But that same bedroom, around the same time, because I kind of moved back home after college, I was laying in bed and I went to try to straighten out my legs and my toes hit something like as if someone was sitting on the end of my bed. I couldn't quite straighten my legs and I'm 5'1". There was no footboard there. Open my eyes while this is occurring. I can straighten my legs and I see nothing. I didn't see an indent or anything in the bed.
Right.
So I just got into the fetal position and listened for a while and then went to sleep. What do you do, Okay.
You're brave. You're brave.
Or maybe I am crazy. I don't know. But I mean, I'm just used to it. I don't know. I mean, if nothing's happening, if I had ever been harmed by something, I think that maybe I'd be a little bit more scared, but nothing, thankfully, knock on wood, I haven't had any negative experiences or super negative. Maybe the growl was weird, but it didn't hurt me or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I might be reaching out to you crying later. What happened? Things are happening now.
Well, I just got rid of everything at my house. I don't know if you've been hearing it, but it's like every time I do a show that talks about, something dark or whatever, my microphone will pick something up, or I'll start seeing stuff, or my kid will see stuff, or my wife will see stuff. And just this last weekend, everything feels like it's like it should be. The black cloud is lifted off. Everything feels good. So please keep your Ouija board ghosts away from me.
I will. I promise. That was after your demon show. You said we won't talk about it.
Yeah, that was
That's
weird.
crazy. I was too scared to listen to it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it was weird. Well, I'll tell you what happened. It's like there's a little bit of a breakup on the video. Okay, like his video screen went out, and then he said, "Oh, are you with me?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm right here." And then right after I said, "Yeah, I'm right here," it sounded like something. It was almost like an echo in the line,
Yeah.
but it was way deeper and slower. It was just like, "Yeah, I'm right here,"
Oh.
behind me. And I was like, "Shit,"
Yeah.
know.
Oh no.
Yeah, it
What
sucked.
happened? Oh
It
no, I'm
sucked.
so sorry.
But it's all gone.
But
Everything's
you got it
fine.
cleaned up, you saged and
Oh
everything.
yeah, I got my sage sitting right here beside me.
Awesome.
Yep, and I pray a lot and I pray hard, so
Yes, that helps.
it does.
There is somebody looking after us, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Nothing can
Yes.
convince me otherwise.
No, for sure. Especially now. I really feel like everyone is here right now for a reason with everything going on.
I think so too.
So
I think
yeah.
things are winding up. Like things are coming to a I don't know, it just feels tense, like things are coming to a head.
I think we all feel that collectively.
I
Yeah.
think so. I think I think everybody feels that coming, and I just don't know what it is.
I don't either. But I get that feeling too.
Yeah.
Now we're about to possibly get disclosure.
Oh yeah.
Do you think they're really going to tell us the whole truth?
I think we're going to get a bunch of redacted papers,
Probably.
but whatever they say, I think everything ties in together. I'm a little bit,
I do too.
I'm a little bit nutso, I guess, but I think
No, you're not. I really, I don't think it's supernatural. I think it's perfectly natural. It's just we've been kind of cut off, I think, like I was saying, about the spirit before. I think we're supposed to be like communicating with these things. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but not supposed to be, but you know what I mean? Like be able to sense them more than we do.
Yep. And I think with this whole alien thing, I think that we're going to, if they would tell us the truth, that I don't know if we could handle it. I used to think no big deal. It's just aliens, of course there's something out there, but I'm not even sure if it's something from outer space anymore. I'm starting to think it's some kind of other beings, interdimensional, or
I agree.
something that works with world governments that is a dark force,
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, we could talk about that maybe later, but let me get back to my notes before I get lost. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so another time at that house in Jersey, a lot of weird stuff happened at that house. My friends and I were in the sunroom. This is when I was older. I think I was out of college. Friends and I were in the sunroom, and this sunroom is back against the house. So like you pretty much get all in front of you is glass. You can see everything. We were just sitting there hanging out, and I heard 3 distinct knocks on the sliding glass door, like practically right in front of my face. We all heard it. We all turned to look. Nothing there. I didn't see anybody coming or going. Excuse me. So that was really weird.
Was it outside or was it
outside? It came from outside. So they had a deck. They have a deck and then a sunroom, glass sunroom that we were sitting in, and it came from outside. Something knocked 3 distinct times, like, and there's nothing there. And I mean, if someone was standing there, I would have seen them. It was right there.
Yeah.
And we all looked. We all heard it, and we're like, "What the hell is that?"
Wow.
And it was definitely the sliding glass door. I don't know. Well, now I've been thinking though, like, I don't know if there's this guy that's starting to come out and talk again, and he said something I didn't know. No, I don't know if this is Sasquatch or a ghost, but it made me think. And I just heard this like last week. He was on Strange Brow, and he said his name is Rich Germu, or Rich. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name if you're seeing this. Rich Germu or Germu. He was on Strange Brow. Anyway, he's in Washington State. He said that he talked to a Native American person, and they said that one of Sasquatch's initiation rituals is to be seen in full view of a human being, or no, to be in full view of a human being and not be seen.
Oh, wow.
That's one of their initiation rituals. So that got me thinking, was that was somebody having initiation? And then it got me thinking, and I know some people when it comes to Sasquatch think that we're really only seeing like the juveniles. A lot of people, that there are ones that are actually much bigger out there.
Yeah.
Which got me thinking, like, what if some of these sightings, God forbid, where these poor souls get shot too, they're just blowing their initiation, like, getting through the process. Like, that's a bad day. Like, you're gonna close the bar that night. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
did not go well. Hopefully they have like the equivalent of bars in Sasquatch World. I don't know. Or maybe like a magic mushroom patch or something they could go to.
I don't usually do this, but can you hold on just for 1 minute? I got to
Yeah.
answer my daughter. She's back there
Yeah,
waving at me.
absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So, well, next, I guess I'll go into the one ghost experience that I had here, or I think it was a ghost anyway. So I was coming into my kitchen from the hallway, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw this big man. My husband's a big man, but I saw a big man kind of standing in the kitchen a few feet away from me. And out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, oh, that's my husband. I'm going to turn and interact with him. And I went to turn and interact with him. Not only was there no one there, but I remember that he was in San Diego on business. So it definitely wasn't him. I don't know who it was, but was not him. This house has been owned by other people in the past. I don't think anyone's died in this house, but I know there have been other families that have lived in this house since the 70s it was built. So,
Okay.
so I don't know. But then again, it could just be the land or just somebody stepping in. I know that water can be a conduit, and like I said, we've got a creek
Yep.
right next to us.
Yeah.
So I know supernatural things can happen near water.
And the land is old too. You know, it's Pennsylvania it's full of history. You know.
Yeah, we got the Native Americans and who knows what else? Probably history that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
Not told.
I'd imagine there'd probably be some giant footprints around there somewhere if people didn't look at it.
Probably. I hope so. So let me see. I'm trying to stick to the supernatural before I get into some things that I felt like were more spiritual.
Okay.
So one morning in this house, this was like a few months ago, my husband and I partied pretty hard the night before, and we were hung over in bed the next morning, and I heard a man say, "Idiot." It sounded like an older man at the foot of the bed, and I was kind of laying there half awake, half asleep, and I just heard, "Idiot." I don't know if he was judging us for, getting a little out of control, but yeah, that's something that happened here too. That was weird. Yeah, just like little snippets have happened to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just moments. What else? Yeah, I mean, I've seen shadows out of the corner of my eye like my whole life. Go to look, nothing's there. And especially since I've gotten cats, I always think it's them. It must be them, right? And then there's no one there. There's nothing there. I felt things. One time I was on the treadmill, actually just a few months ago, I felt something touch me on my shoulder right here. Or not my shoulder, I guess it'd be my bicep. I was on the treadmill. I was walking down the stairs one time and I felt somebody like walking next to me, like almost you could feel like someone next to you walking down the hallway. I felt the same thing. I felt things like brush up against my legs, which I sometimes would be doing something, think it's my cat. There's no cat around. Feel something walking around on the bed, look to see which cat it is to like greet them, say hi, nothing there. And I would have heard them jump off the bed.
Yeah.
You look worried. Are you worried about me?
I think you definitely had some activity there. Like,
yeah, and it's happened through other houses I've lived in. It's not just this house. It's the whole like feeling other things touch me or like feel something walking on the bed or whatever. So I don't know if I have like a phantom cat. Hopefully nothing more nefarious than that.
Yeah, let's hope. No, you haven't had anything bad happen. I don't want you getting the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, so far.
Maybe you just maybe it's just like you said you're going to talk about spiritual. Maybe it's a spiritual gift. You're just open, and you get to experience these things. You're a little bit closer to that side than others. There's nothing wrong with that.
Maybe. Thank you. I hope so. Hopefully nothing bad ever happens. So yeah, these two experiences I had. I don't know. A lot of people, hummingbirds are special to me. I know some people. Hummingbirds are special to them too. So the first experience I had with hummingbirds, I always kind of knew. I never seen one before this ever. The experience I'm about to tell you, but I kind of heard that certain animals are supposed to be good luck. Cardinals are supposed to represent loved ones that passed away, and I had heard that hummingbirds were good luck. come to find out they also can mean that a loved one that's passed is visiting, but I'll get to that later. So I was leaving my ex's house to go to work one morning. This was like, I don't know, like 9 years ago. And I first opened the solid door and I was about to go out the glass door to leave for work. And I stopped myself because I saw what looked like a huge bug just like hovering on the other side of the glass door, like kind of just above my head, like right outside the door. And I'm thinking, crap, I'm going to be late for work. This huge bug's out there. I'm not going out there until that thing's gone, you know? So I kind of zoomed in on it and looked closer, like, what the heck kind of bug is that? And it wasn't a bug, it was a hummingbird. And that was the first time I'd ever seen a hummingbird in my life. I saw it, I was so lucky and grateful. I saw it like close up and it was just staring right back at me. And I was staring back at it. And I mean, it wasn't too long, but it was at least a few seconds to the point where like I was expecting it at any moment to freak out and fly away, you know, like see me. But it didn't. It was like it was intentional. It just stayed there hovering, staring at me. We stared at each other for a few seconds. And then I just felt like it was a very joyful, intentional visit. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in anything like that. And I do believe in signs and symbols that are sent to us by God, universe, great spirit, whatever you want to call it. They're messengers for us. So that's kind of the feeling I got, and it felt intentional. And it just very calmly did a 180 after a few seconds and just flew in the other direction. And I stood there for a few seconds before going out to my car, like, wow, that was crazy. And I knew they meant good luck. But of course, that day I went and looked it up because I wanted to see like the significance of it.
Yeah.
And apparently a lot of Origine tribes believe that they're messengers for the spirit realm because, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know, their metabolism is so fast during the day. They're just constantly eating and eating.
Yeah.
So at night when they go to sleep, their bodies like practically shut down to conserve. Their heartbeats slow down to some like ridiculous rate. I don't know if you know this, but
I didn't.
they believe, okay. So a lot of the tribes believe that like at night, they're practically almost dead trying to conserve themselves. And they're in the spirit realm at night. And then during the day, they're here giving messages for the spirit realm. And I mean, for all we know, they're giving messages from the living to the dead at night, you know, for us.
Wow. Yeah.
So I kind of took that as like, as a spiritual thing. Like,
I
think that was a pretty powerful thing. Yeah, that's what I felt like. And so then, so I learned the background on that, which led to the next story I'm going to tell, which was the day Britta died. Britta that used to stare behind the recliner at what I couldn't see. I don't know, but she was like a sister to me, you know, my furry sister.
Oh, yeah.
And the day we put her down, I had a really hard time because I was always kind of like her protector. You know, if my parents would fight or she was scared of thunderstorms, I would take her in my room and like, you know, try and make her happy. And so it was hard for me, like kind of passing her off to the spirit realm. Like I couldn't protect her anymore. I didn't want her to be scared. So when we put her down, I kind of like said a prayer, please, you know, don't let her be scared for even a second. And she had a boyfriend down the street who had died just a few months earlier named Jack, her boyfriend. And so I kind of prayed to him, please come get her and help her cross over so she's not alone. And I totally lost it. You know, we brought her body home and buried it in the backyard, the house in Jersey, my parents' house. And Jack's mom came by a few hours later to just kind of be there for us and say her condolences because she knew Britta well.
Yeah.
It's her little son's, furry son's girlfriend. And I was pointing through the glass door towards the backyard, trying to show her where we buried Britta and just kind of talking to her. And we both were looking out the window and we see what looked like two big bugs, like playing right in our view, just like dancing around playing. And we both took a closer look and there were two hummingbirds. I have never before or since seen hummingbirds in that backyard. Yeah, so I kind of felt like that was a sign, you know.
Yeah, that was them.
You know, just letting me know that she's okay. You don't have to worry about her. And then one of the last stories I have, another kind of bizarre thing that happened to me that my wedding planner actually pointed out to me. I didn't even know it was my wedding day. I'm sure as many of you know that have been married, a lot of times you don't even know what's going on. It's like tunnel vision. So the day I got married, it was going to rain. So we couldn't have the ceremony outside. We got married in Lancaster, the farm on Eagles Ridge, awesome venue. We couldn't get married outside because of the rain. So ceremony inside, the reception obviously was going to have to mainly be inside, but I really wanted happy hour outside if we could. And it was kind of clearing up a little bit. And my wedding planner thought I was crazy. I was like, can we please just have happy hour if we can? And she was like, okay, like, I think you're nuts, but all right, I'll do it. And I just kind of prayed, please just at least let me have happy hour, because that's why I chose the venue, is the scenery and everything. So I got my hour, and the radar is pretty crazy. I sent you a picture. She pointed it out to me and took a picture. She said it gave her goosebumps. But I literally got 1 hour, and the radar during our happy hour is crazy. Like, there's rain everywhere except our venue.
Yeah, I'm gonna share that whenever we put this on the
Yeah, she took that picture. She took that picture and she showed it to me the next day, and she's like, this gave me goosebumps. I have to show this to you. This is your happy hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got what I asked for. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. It's like something just cut
Yeah, isn't
out
that
the clouds
weird?
in that area. Just
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
cool.
felt really grateful.
Yeah, it's your blessing.
Yeah.
You know, that's a
Yeah.
blessing to your marriage. So that's good.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for my stories. Do you have any questions for me?
I've got a couple. Nothing too crazy, you know.
Oh yeah. Whatever. Throw them at me.
Okay. One is like I told you before I took it off pause there.
Mhm.
You know, you heard the show on Sasquatch Chronicles. So let's do a Wes Germer. Let me ask you, what do you think Sasquatch is?
So I think Sasquatch is definitely not just flesh and blood.
Mhm.
I think it's definitely a spirit being, I think. Because obviously they can do things that are just incredible. Some would even say magical. But yeah, I mean, I think we're flesh and blood and spirit too. I think we're pretty magical beings ourselves, but we just for some reason have been untapped. I don't think we have junk DNA. I think it's just not tapped into. And I think part of the reason we're not told the truth about Sasquatch is because I think they're part of the history they don't want us to know. And I think it would empower us. And so yeah, I think that we're somehow related to them, which I think was the Genome Project kind of proved that, right?
Yeah.
The mother's human and the father's unknown.
Yeah.
I just think that they are definitely flesh and blood and supernatural beings. Then again, I kind of think we are too. So
Well, I think you're right. I used to think it was easy. It's just a big ape.
Yeah.
America didn't have an ape. There's apes on other continents. That's our ape. But I don't feel that way anymore. And I know I talked to some BFRO guys that will slap me around for saying that, but
it's really intense in that community.
Yeah, but where do the footprints? When they end in the middle of a field and there's just nothing else there. I haven't had one person be able to explain that part yet.
Right.
If it's not something supernatural, if there's not more to it, where'd they go?
Yeah, I think they're interdimensional.
I do too.
I think they're interdimensional beings. And I think some of this craft we're seeing are too, the way they blip in and out.
Yeah. There's something they have access to that we don't.
Yeah. And have you heard some stories about how they seem to morph? Like some people think they're just looking at like a tree trunk and then all of a sudden they'll stand up. I mean, I wonder if they have ability either to get into our heads and make us see something that isn't there or different than what is really there, or they have the ability to shapeshift. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm wondering what that orange orb was. I guess they have the ability to do that.
Yeah. And that's another thing with these lights. What are those lights and how are they connected? Are the lights something else that's interested in Sasquatch? Or is that something that's just part of their world?
Yeah.
It's all too much for me to understand.
It's so interesting. I want to know.
I know. And that's a big reason why I started doing this show. I was like, maybe I can get some answers. And I just have more questions. I haven't figured
I know, right?
Yeah.
Figured out. Got to start over again.
Yeah. Well, Jen, I really appreciate you coming on the show. And I think you did an excellent job. I don't know why you were nervous. You've had tons of things go on. And I'm sure as soon as we get off here, you'll think of something else too,
Sure. But thank you so much for letting me go public. And it was just nice to get it all out there. And I hope maybe I helped somebody else that's had similar experiences. You're not alone, and it's more normal than you think, really.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Well,
and I
thank
hope
you so much. Thank you. All
I hope
right.
people
Be
take
well,
your
everybody.
advice. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.